local people. Important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Hey, welcome and good morning. The makeup of Wilmington City Council has changed significantly with two new members replacing incumbents on that 7-member body. Charlie Rivenbark and Kevin O'Grady were sworn in on December 1st and join us as our guests for this edition of Byline. Councilman Rivenbark, Councilman O'Grady.
How you doing, Don?
Thank you so much for both.
Pleasure to be here.
Happy to be here.
Taking time out. I know if you weren't busy before, I know you're busy now. There were 11 candidates running for the 2 seats up for grabs.
3 seats.
For the 3 seats up for grabs, that's right, on council. What was your honest assessment about winning before you won?
Well, having had some experience prior to that, I knew what I was getting into. I had seen other good campaigns, and I wanted to copy the best of those. And I felt had a lot of encouragement from people, so I felt my chances were okay. But running against 3.
But you had pretty high name recognition because you'd already served on council.
Yes, sir, and I think that helped me a lot.
Yeah, and you had
I thought
low name recognition.
Yeah, I thought it was a long shot, but I thought I had a chance. I knew I had 3 incumbents and Charlie, so he had a lot of name recognition against me. But I felt I had issues that I could raise, and if I got my word out, I thought I could do it, and as it turned out, I did.
Okay, so your first reaction after you realized you won, it was like, wow.
I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
By that time, I felt we really had a chance. As time went on, I felt we were getting stronger.
Oh, you did. You felt.
I did feel like we were doing
You felt
better.
the momentum.
Yep.
As you moved into the election, and what was your feeling?
I have to agree with Kevin. I felt his momentum pick up because we were together at a lot of forums and saw the way he fielded questions and handled himself, on the firing line. And I felt like that people were really listening to him, and I felt like that there was unfortunate there was a move afoot to get rid of all the incumbents, and I kind of was a quasi-incumbent, but I think people felt comfortable with me. I don't think I shot myself in the foot the 8 years that I did serve, and I think that came to fruition on election night.
People remembered.
Yes, sir.
And obviously with a positive memory. But 2 incumbents did leave, and Earl Sheridan was the lone incumbent that was reelected. Margaret Haynes and Jim Quinn were both ousted. Do you think that anti-incumbency had played a part in that?
Yes, there's no question about it, because sitting there at the polling place, particularly during early voting, you could sense that just from listening to the voters coming in.
What was that? Was that a local movement? Was that dissatisfaction with the direction council's has taken?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I think it goes beyond local. I think there was generally in the country an anti-incumbent feeling. And I think it's a feeling of not having control over your lives. People feel the economy's going bad and their lives are a little harder now than they were a couple of years ago. And they have to blame somebody. And the easiest ones to blame are the local government.
What do you think, Charlie?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth in what Kevin says. It started at the national level and kind of filtered down. You hear that, you read it in the paper, you see it on every newscast that they're worried about 2010. And Jim Quinn and Margaret Haynes are personal friends of mine as well as Kevin's. And, you hate it for them. Dr. Sheridan went back in and ran very strong. So it wasn't across the board, but I'm just glad that Kevin and I prevailed.
Now let's get down to the first meeting, or the night you were sworn in. There was a little glitch where there was somewhat of what I would call a public skirmish about the council vote on Mayor Pro Tem. In essence, there were 2 camps, one for Laura Padgett and one for Earl Sheridan. Sheridan eventually won, but not without some uncomfortable back and forth from both candidates. Give us a short take from each of your perspectives.
Well, I think you've got 6 people on there who have run for election. They have a certain amount of ego, and they also have a certain amount of pride that they think they can lead the council. So there was a desire by several people to take that
More
position.
than just Padgett and Sheridan?
And unfortunately, it played out in public. But I think it's all behind us now.
Councilman Rivenbark, what do you think?
You know, I feel like service and commitment and knowledge should be rewarded. And Laura had early on talked with Dr. Sheridan, and he had pledged his support. And then she called me and Kevin, and that gave her 4 votes. And she also called the other members to see if it could be unanimous. And so, you know, she proceeded on with the idea that she had the votes to become Mayor Pro Tem. And Laura's won more elections down there than anybody else on that council. She represents us on a local, state, and national level with transportation issues. She has earned her bones and paid her dues, and I felt very strongly about that. And then when things shifted the way they did, I mean, there's no question. People that know me know I was upset about it.
Well, you were the only vote
That's correct.
that did not go unanimous when there was a call for
Yes,
unanimous vote. So you held out and stuck to what you said
Yes,
you
sir.
would do.
And like Kevin, you know, that's in my rearview mirror. I'm ready to move forward. We've got 7. You know, there's no rule that says you can't have 7 leaders on council, but we do have a mayor. He sets the tone, and you know, if it's something that we feel like is in the best interest of the city and the community at large, we're all together 7-0 every time. But when it's not, you know me well enough to know that I'll speak my piece and go my way.
Should there have been a more should that have been settled beforehand in a more definitive manner, other than playing out as it did in public and on camera?
Well, it's the public's business. It's the public's business, and you know, backroom deals, or you know, maybe they'll happen, maybe they won't. But that was something like any other thing we do that you know, I think it needs to be, you know, right there for everybody to see.
Yeah, and I had to say, I was not troubled terribly by the fact that it played out in public. I mean, it was a fairly simple thing. Laura ultimately decided to step aside and gave us the direction on what she wanted us to do with our votes, and that was it.
How united do you think council will be in general? Do you think this will be a foreshadowing of maybe things to come?
No, I think we're going to do fine.
I think that you've got, I mean, I would love to see the council move forward in a positive direction. I'd love unanimous votes every time, but that's not going to happen. And, you know, we have differing viewpoints. If everybody down there did everything that Charlie Rivenbark said was the way to go, we'd be in serious trouble. So I like the idea that we've got 7 strong personalities down there, and we'll do what's best for the city.
Well, I agree with Charlie on that. I'm not one that believes that every vote needs to be unanimous. In fact, I was always surprised at how many unanimous votes there were. Certainly there has to be some disagreement. Now, I don't mind some of those disagreements being played out. It shows that we're thinking.
Disagreement is a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, it shows that we're thinking and we're considering all the possibilities.
There was a recent City Council retreat. We're going to talk about some of the important agenda items that came up during that retreat right after this. Stay with us.